Okay. Well, let me ask you another question then, sir. Would you agree that if we're going to actually study something and use what we call the scientific method, are you familiar with the scientific method?
I think so. Yeah.
Great. Do you know what it is? Do you need me to explain it to you?
My understanding is you start with a problem that's observed, and then you hypothesize a solution for it. You design a test to test it, and then you repeat that process until you figure out what the explanation is for the phenomenon.
Not quite, but close enough. It's basically repeated experimentation and observation of those experiments to gather data and compare that data from your past data to your present data to make future predictions. And again, sir, would you agree that you'd have to actually use the laws of logic in order to perform science?
Generally, I would say, yeah, that we would appeal to logic or rationalizations to formulate like statements, right? Like if this, then this. I mean, if you consider these like logical statements, yeah.
Exactly. And you have to identify what it is you're talking about. Is that correct?
Yes.
Great. So that's the law of identity. It's the eternal, universal, and unchanging law of logic called the law of identity. Can you tell me, sir, where does that come from?
I'm going to guess that's an axiomatic thing that we get from epistemology or something, some sort of...
Well, sir, are you saying you believe it just because you believe it?
I'm saying that it's a fundamental assumption of formal logic that is unjustified. I think that most of those things are.
Oh, no, sir. Actually, it's a requirement of the physical world for the physical world to be here. These laws of logic.
Are we running down the hole again?
No, hang on a second.
Are you really a teacher in the public school system?
Absolutely, I am, sir. I absolutely am. Well, let me ask you a question, sir. Would you agree that natural selection, let's go back to, since you don't want to talk about logic, let's go back and talk about natural selection. Sir, how does new information come into the genome? Have we ever observed new information coming into the genome?
Considering every single educated scientist believes this, I would imagine so, yeah.
Actually, no, sir, that would be false. We never see new information coming into the genome. The only thing we ever see is a duplication of existing information or a reduction of information. And you know what? Sometimes,
before we go, real quick.
Hang on a second. Oh, not quite done, not quite done. Sometimes some of those reductions of information can actually be beneficial. Like when you have an antibiotic that no longer affects a particular virus or bacteria, it's because it has lost the information that it had that made it susceptible to that antibiotic. So, sir, how do you explain new information in the system?
I'm not able to do so. Can I ask you a question?
I don't know. You can if you can perform the function. But if you're asking me permission,
okay,
it would be,
I would like to ask you a question, okay?
That would be great, sir. Please do.
Sure. Can you point me to any published literature you have on this topic?
Well, sure. It's all over the place. It's called the Bible, sir. The Bible is the perfect and inspired word of the creator.
If you work in
an academic... I'm not done answering the question yet, sir.
No, you're avoiding my question.
Wait a minute, whoa.
Can I please ask my question? Can I please ask my question? Can I please ask my question? Because right now you are contradicting a very wide field of science, okay, that has tons of publications across a number of very well-respected peer-reviewed magazines. So I'm asking, if you want to contradict this information, can you point me your peer-reviewed research that you've published on this topic? Because if not, I don't care to listen to a layman speculate or try to catch me on these very finite points that I may or may not know, because I'm not totally well researched in the area of like evolutionary biology. I don't care to listen to laymen or clergymen speculate on these matters unless you've got published literature that's like peer reviewed in the field.
Sir, did you say that you did not know anything about evolution and that's why you didn't want to address this? Is that what you're saying?
I said that I don't know the finer points on it. I know the
general. Wait a minute. If you're not wanting to take my information, and I teach science, sir, so that's okay. We don't have to do that. We don't have to do that, sir. No problem whatsoever. But let me ask you a question.
Can real quick, because you still avoided my question.
No, I'm not avoiding your question. I'm actually telling you, sir, there's a scientific law. Are you familiar with scientific laws and how they work?
I'm familiar with what the scientific community's consensus is on theories related to evolution. I don't care to listen to a clergyman. It does. I don't care to listen to a clergyman speculate. I just don't care.
Sir, if I may, are you familiar with how a scientific law works?
Sure. What about it?
Well, sir, can you tell me what a scientific law is? Because most people that say it like that don't have a clue.
Isn't a law supposed to be like a fundamental excellent explanation of something that we've observed a vast number of times? So like the laws of thermodynamics or something like that?
Ah, great. You're actually better than most, sir. I give you kudos for that. Again, a scientific law, sir, is a pattern observed in nature repeatedly and exclusively without contradiction. This is known as a scientific law. Sir, we have the law of biogenesis. Are you familiar with the scientific law of biogenesis?
I don't really care to discuss this with a layman. I'm really sorry. Do you have any other arguments that you would like to talk about?
Sir, I'm not a layman. I am a professional. I teach science, sir. Science.
I don't care what you teach in grade school,
Would you like to let me go ahead and go ahead and give you my credentials, sir?
Yeah, I would love to hear it.
Sir, I'm a teacher of science. I can teach any grade.
Can you tell me where you graduated from and with what degree?
Sir, I can teach any grade from kindergarten through seniors in high school, and I can teach any subject from science to social studies.
I don't care what the curriculum in Alabama says.
You know what
I'm asking you is, what is your educational background to contradict the scientific community? I want to know what you graduated with and where you graduated from. I don't care if you can teach a private school in Alabama or Tennessee. I want to know what your educational background is.
Sir, I teach at a public school, and I'm asking you about a law of science. Sir, you don't have to be a scientist to ask a person. A layman can ask you about a scientific law, observable, repeatable, testable, repeated exclusively without contradiction, with never seeing its contradiction, sir, because if you ever see its contradiction, it's no longer a scientific law. So we have a scientific law known as the law of biogenesis. How do you account for that with your worldview of materialism, sir?
I can't think of anything I would want to do less than to discuss with another layman about a theory contradicting the widespread scientific.
Yes, I understand. Appeal to authority, and it's fallacious. Have a nice day.
No, every appeal to authority is not fallacious, but it's a very easy way.
Your appeal to authority is fallacious, sir.
It's absolutely not.
Yours is too. What authority are you appealing to, sir?
To the consensus of the scientific community.
Oh, really? So if the scientific community was wrong, let's say, I don't know, like about the expansion rate of the universe, and we show that the real world is actually the true statement. Now, wouldn't you agree, sir, the definition of truth is that which comports to reality, that which is real?
Sure, but for somebody to discover that the scientific community is wrong, it's probably not going to be a layman that does it.
Sir, would it matter if I, a lowly brain-damaged elementary school teacher, was able to find something that science didn't know versus somebody like, I don't know, Stephen Hawking, if he was still alive, if he could find something? What difference would it make to you knowing that knowledge? What difference, sir? I'm not done. Why do you talk over people? Is your position so weak, sir? I've waited patiently. I've waited patiently for you. So, sir, is your position so weak that you cannot wait for a brain-damaged individual like myself?
You already asked that. I didn't even cut you off. Hold on. I just have to see real quick. In the general chat of this Discord, if he's talking more than me, can you type 1? And if I'm talking over him a lot, can you type 2? I'm just curious, because maybe my perception is really fucked here.
I believe it is, sir, because let me ask you again. Would you agree that truth is that which comports to reality? Truth is that which is real.
Sure.
How do you know that, sir?
I don't want to do this.
How do you know that, sir? Can you tell me how you know that to be true?
Too many memes for me, dude. I can't. If in the future, if you get like something published into Nature or some other like huge scientific journal, I would love to read your research that contradicts the widespread belief of the entire scientific community. Until then, I hope you lose your teaching credentials. I hope you go jobless, because holy shit, the idea that somebody like you can teach your children their education for the future is incredibly fucking sad to me. But yeah, all right.
Okay.
How many of these guys do you have in here?
We've got like 3 or 4 of them.
Holy shit!
But Mr.
Is this like
Batman,
a Christian server? Or?
No. Mr. Batman and Darth Dawkins are like
it's really frustrating to me that, because I've had conversations like this with people in my stream before, where like all of the religious philosophers, like I always expect or I hope to hear like a very interesting or compelling argument, but it's always these really strange like these objections to like very, very esoteric fundamental things, like, can you really know that anything you see is actually even the truth? And it's like, well, fuck, dude, I don't know, I guess I can't. Well, then there you go, you're totally fucking retarded, dude. It's like, okay, you got me, man, I guess.
That's pretty accurate, yeah.